Jip Kitty here, and welcome back to another episode of ChuSingura. We're going to be continuing on with Act 5 of ChuSingura of Loyalty and Heroism. I was having a dream, and a bloody one at that. That night, the moon was a bewitching blood red. The skies were wailing, the earth was roaring, and the sea were boiling. I hear people crying out as they run about, and the sound of a raging crimson blaze. Got to do something. If I don't do something fast, regardless, I cannot move. I couldn't move an inch, as if my feet were sewn down on the ground by icicles. All I could do was just sit and watch the devastation that was unfolding before me. I have to help. I've got to do something. I opened my eyes and found myself still in the darkness. I've woken up like this for the past several nights in a row. Darkness lies before me, and I feel a little suffocated. Together with this feeling of suffocation, I smell the soft scent of green grass. Again? Yeah, I know. Hey, Sayu. I think I've said this every morning, but how do you expect me to get up from this position? Why, you little, cut it out, or I'll take a big whiff of you. You know, the beginning and the end of what you just said aren't really consistent. Good grief. I don't know whether I'm happy or in pain. No, I don't. What does she mean by that? She doesn't trust me at all. Actually, I'm starting to suffocate now. I want to get up too, you know. Thanks for the food. I have breakfast with my family as usual. It's just another everyday scene. What I'm looking at right now, however, is not the residence of Inako that we're used to seeing. This is a boxy room called Mishiya, a traditional merchant house. Chosuke is also here for this little family get-together. That's right. It's already been a month since the house of Asano came to an end.
では、ハウレ、行ってまいります。
皆様によろしくお伝えくださいね。
The whole Yato family had moved from Akko to Osaka. A week has passed since we moved here. Little by little, we've begun to settle into our new lives. Today, we're going to make courtesy calls to our comrades who've also moved to Osaka. As the head of the Yato household, Chosuke would normally be responsible for that. Due to his sickness, however, Imoshichi and I will act on his behalf.
なんだ、二人とも。どこかに出かけるのか？
Yeah, we're going to go and meet with the others from Akko.
なら、さよも一緒に付き合ってもよいぞ。なりません。今日の用向きは遊びではないのです。さよは妹二人の面倒を見てください。はーい。では、すぐはしゃん、参りましょうか。
Yeah.
ちょっと待て、すぐは。着物の襟が折れてしまっているぞ。
Oh, yeah?
まったく、すぐははだらしないな。ふむ。
She straightened my collar and went on to give me the once-over, checking if my kimono was not coming loose or anything anywhere else.
よし、顔以外はなんとか様になってるな。
You don't know when to quit, do you?
こればかりは私でもどうにもならないぞ。なんだかさよがすぐはちゃんのお嫁さんみたいです。
Oh, cut the crap, will you? Let's go.
すぐはちゃん、待ってくださいよ。道に迷わずに帰ってくるのだぞ。今日もすごい人の多さですね。
True. Osaka, the nation's kitchen, named so for its abundance of food markets and storage. Along with Edo and Kyoto, it is one of the major cities of Japan. Osaka is busy every single day with an abundance of people coming and going. When we first arrived, Imoshichi and Sayo were overwhelmed by the scene. At the same time, they seemed painfully aware of their country roots. You know what, Imoshichi? You seem to be getting used to the large number of people here.
そうですね。でも最初に見た時は息が詰まってしまい、その影響で胸が小さくなるのではと心配しました。
They won't get flatter because of that, and to be fair, your boobs couldn't possibly get any flatter than they are now.
すぐはしゃん、エモシが密かに気にしていることをはっきりと申さないでください。
Secret? You mean common knowledge?
すぐはしゃんは以前よりも意地悪になりましたね。
Mean, you say? Anyone's personality would change under these circumstances. A month and a half ago, Asano Takimi no Kami, Lord of the Akko domain, assaulted Kira Kozukune Suke with her sword in the halls of the Edo castle. The Akko domain, which had endured for 3 generations, was dissolved overnight. Everyone knows about what happened next. A palanquin arrived from Edo bearing a message. After receiving the tragic news from Edo, the Chamberlain's first order was to exchange the Akko domain and Saku scripts. This was accomplished within a few days. It was then decided that Akko Castle was to be unconditionally surrendered to the shogunate. Nothing particular has changed, and no incident occurred in the time since then. From what I can see, everything's in line with what I've already experienced. Except for one thing. Immediately after the Hansatsu scripts were exchanged, Tosuke, the head of the Yato household, complained that he did not feel well and soon fell ill. And just a week ago, the whole Yato family moved to Osaka.
なあ、ここが私たちの新しい屋敷なのか?
Looks like it. The room was far too small to be called an estate. It's a tiny room about 9 chaku, 2.7 meters, wide, and 2 ken, 3.6 meters long. Starting today, the 7 of us would have to literally huddle together to fit inside this tiny house.
これではアコウの時のように庭で野菜も育てられませんね。
そうね。
Let's talk about that later, Imoshichi. Why don't we put father to bed first?
はい。父上、お加減の方はどうですか?
ああ、大丈夫だ。すぐは、イモ七。すまぬな。家のことをすべて任せてしまって。
何をおっしゃいます。それよりも父上は一日も早く元気になることだけを考えてください。父上、早く元気になってくださいね。
Before we do anything, we've got to clean this place up. Give me a hand, Sayo. Disregarding the 2 youngest sisters. At first, Sayo seemed completely bewildered at the unfamiliar new house. She's been looking all right for the past few days, though. Oh well, she's young. She must be pretty adaptable. You get used to a new place after a month. And you adopt after 2. Is that how the saying goes?
すぐはさん、まずは忠七さんの家に行きましょう。
I think she drew a map for us, didn't she?
はい、この地図を見れば大丈夫です。すぐはさんは理解ができなかったみたいですけど。
Shut up. As Imoshichi said, I couldn't make heads or tails of the map. That's because the east was written where north should be, on the compass. Seems that maps use Edo as a baseline. Since Edo is to the east of Osaka, maps have east pointing upwards. I think this distinction was known as an ascending and descending in the Edo period. Ascending meant going towards Edo, and descending meant going away from it. This method of mapmaking is characteristic of a time period with an absolutist class system.
元気だったか？会いたかったぜ。はい、忠七さん、お久しぶりです。
We're a 20-minute walk from the Mashiya, our traditional merchant house where we live. Tadashi lives here alone. This is the first time I've seen her since Akko Castle was surrendered. Tachichi Takebayashi. Originally, she was a retainer working in Edo as a page. However, at the time of the incident, she happened to be in Akko on business. Once she heard the news of the tragedy, she went so far as to argue that we should lay siege to the castle and die in the battle. Her wish went unfulfilled, though. She's counted as one of the radicals among our comrades in Kyoto. But normally she's a bright and cheerful sort.
そうかそうか。じゃあ2人とも同じ大阪で住む身、互いに助け合っていこうぜ。
Yeah, let's.
で、今日は挨拶回りか？はい、大阪に住む同士の方々の家を回ろうかと。正元さんは留守とのことなので日を改めますが。そうか、なら俺も付き合ってやるよ。2人より俺の方が大阪の街を知ってるからな。
But didn't you come here just a week before we did?
まあそうなんだけどさ。でもうまいうどんの屋台を見つけたんだぞ。江戸じゃ屋台といえばそばだけど、大阪の屋台はほとんどがうどんなんだぜ。
でも
食べ物の情報を早速仕入れてるなんて忠七さんらしいですね。
In Tadashichi's case, it's always food before a romance, as they say.
こらすぐは、俺にだって少しは色気があるんだぞ。
Yeah, just lead the way. We'll leave it up to you.
おお、すぐはにエモ七か。よく来てくれたな。
速水さん、今日は父上の名代として挨拶に参りました。
狭いところだが入ってくれ。
We visited Hayami's house next. Just like with Tadashichi, it's the first time we've seen her since we left Akko. She lives in a mashiya similar to ours. Remember that she was a high-ranking retainer when she was in Akko. She served as a mounted guard with a salary of 150 koku. To think that someone of her status is living in such a small townhouse now.
で、どうだ長介殿の具合は。
それがあまり良くなくて。
そうか、心配だな。エモ七、私に何かできることがあったら遠慮せずに申してくれよ。はい、
ありがとうございます。
すぐはもな。
Alright. Hayami is usually a calm and collected person. Not only is she kind to people like us who are younger than her, but she's also very reliable. Like Tadashichi, Hayami is part of the radical faction.
すぐはさん、どうしました？速水さんのことをじっと見つめて。
Oh, I was just thinking about how lucky we are to have someone as dependable as Hayami around.
なんだ？もしかしてすぐはは速水さんに気があるのか？でも速水さんはやめておいた方がいいぞ。速水さんは男を寄せつけないからな。それでついたあだ名が鉄の女。知ってるか？速水さんはまだしっ。
What was she thinking? All of a sudden, Hayami loosened an arrow at Tadashichi. Has she gone crazy?
忠七、余計なことを申すな。
お命だけはお助けよ。
Hayami?
ただ、その色恋沙汰が苦手というか。
Wow, that's one side of Hayami I've never seen before. I had no idea she didn't care for romance. Or what was she keeping that arrow she shot so suddenly?
でもこれからどうします？大阪に出てくればなんとかなると思ってましたけど、この大阪も浪人だらけですし。
まあしばらくの間は藩からいただいた分配金でしのぐしかないだろう。
まったく、なぜ俺たちがアコを出ていかないといけなかったんでしょうね。 忠七さん。
こら忠七、ご城代がお決めになったことなのだ。今さら文句を言っても仕方がないだろう。心配せずともご城代が我らに良い死に場所を探してくださる。
そうおっしゃいますけど、ご城代はお家再興を唱えてるじゃないですか。そのことは速水さんだって内心納得してないでしょ。俺は納得してませんよ。こんな不公平な裁き納得する方が無理ってもんです。ではどうするつもりなのですか？もちろん亡き殿の汚名を注ぐため仇討ちするに決まってるだろ。仇討ち。速水さんも俺と同じ気持ちですよね。
確かに私も忠七の意見と同じだ。されどこの大阪では奥野殿をはじめ多くの方がお家再興に賛成しているからな。
ルーク、キヌ、もう寝ますよ。待てー、姉上。
Nighttime. The moon is as thin as a single thread, silently shining in the night sky. The voices of Imushichi and her younger sisters arguing over bedtime can be heard coming from the house. During the day, we visited the houses of over 10 retainers and gave them our greetings. Each warrior bore a look of depression and gloom. I was thoroughly reminded of the fact that Ronins tend to be ashamed of themselves.
それじゃあ行きましょうか。ねえ姉上、どこに行くのですか？今から家族全員で大阪に行くのですよ。大阪？なあ、すぐは。もう赤穂に戻ってくることはないのか？
Hard to say.
なぜ私たちが赤穂を離れなければならぬのだ。さよ、これは父上が決めたことですよ。大丈夫。お家再興が叶ったらまた戻ってこられます。姉上。
Here in Osaka, there are a lot of people who have fallen on hard times and lost their place in the world. Some have met a similar fate as the Ronin, their lords having lost their noble houses. Most of the Ronins have neither a master nor any money. They're unable to find work, and they suffer from horrendous living conditions. Of course, they can't be expected to carry themselves with the pride and glory of a samurai. One can easily imagine their hardships they must go through. The Yato family have joined their number. Few. There are too many things to think about. I couldn't help sighing from under the weight of my responsibilities. It almost looked like the skies were becoming cloudy in response.
すぐは
Ah! Sayo came out of nowhere wearing a spooky mask. I almost jumped clear out of my skin. What?
私の名は冥界奈落。この世を暗黒に突き落とすため、地獄の閻魔大王から刺激されたもの。
Is that you, Sayo? Or rather, I know it's Sayo from the hair that's come in and out from behind the mask.
いや、違う。私の名は冥界奈落だ。
I know it's you, Sayo.
また意識を失っていたようだ。地獄の連中め、夜になると私の体を乗っ取ってくる。すぐは、怪我はなかったか？
What the hell are you talking about?
怪我がなくて何よりだ。この力はこの私をもってしても抑えきれぬからな。
I'm totally lost here. I've got no idea what the little devil of the Yato family is talking about. Something about hell and possessions or something. Anyway, what's with that weird mask?
実は骸骨山の骸骨がやってきて、この面を私につけるようにと授かったのだ。どうやら私は地獄の使者としての宿命を背負ってしまったらしい。
Skeleton Mountain. And just where would that be?
骸骨山は大阪の北にあるらしいぞ。近所の人が申していた。
Ah, yes, of course. Whatever. Just don't pull that on Imoshichi. You'll scare her to death.
それならもうやってしまったぞ。姉上はぐっすりとお眠りになられました。
You mean she fainted, didn't she? Could that strange voice just a while ago be... Poor Imoshichi. I hope she'll at least have sweet dreams.
で、スグハは一人で何をやっていたんだ？
Me? I was thinking about this and that. About how we should live.
そういえば、スグハは大阪に来る前から一人考え事してたよな。以前はそんなことなかったのに。
Oh, have I?
なんだ、元気がないぞ。だが安心するがいい。この明快な楽がついておる。父上は病だから難しいが、二人には早く次の殿様を探してまた武士になってもらわないと。
That's right. It was a relief to see Sayo laugh with such spirit. The same goes for Imoshichi. I feel at ease when I see the faces of Sayo and her sisters. Hey Sayo, do you like samurai?
大好きだ。姉上でさえ刀を刺して歩く姿は傍から見ていても格好が良いからな。
I see. I replied, lost in thought. It'll be difficult to grant Sayo's request of finding a new lord to serve. There's no war in Japan right now, so samurai aren't worried about matters of life and death anymore. Nowadays, they have to worry about their livelihoods instead. That goes even more for Ronin.
でもその仇討ちには反対だ。
What?
だって藩士の中にはそう申している方もいるのだろう。亡きお殿様の恨みを晴らすと。なあ、父上や姉上、スグハは仇討ちなどせぬよな。今日姉上と出かけたのは仇討ちの話をしに行ったのではないよな。
Of course not.
そうか。武士は死ぬことばかり考えると聞いたから案じておったのだ。まあ父上はともかく姉上とスグハでは役に立たんだろうしな。それに3人には私が嫁に行くまで生きていてもらわねば困る。
You getting married. I'd miss you, you know?
寂しい？
Why wouldn't I? It'd be really lovely once you went off with your husband.
そうか。なら嫁にしてやってもよいぞ。
I smiled slightly at the sight of Sayo's awkward floundering. At any rate, I'm amazed by Sayo's keen sense of smell. I never thought I'd hear the word revenge come out of her mouth. But I guess Sayo has her own way of thinking. She probably worries about me and Imoshichi as well. A scheming little devil who moonlights as an angel. What a pain. Even so, there may come a day when I have to break my promise to Sayo. I tried to imagine the look on her face if it came to that. Looking up at the night sky once again, I let out a heavy sigh. May 15th.
朝だぞ。 キラ
I think that's where we'll leave this episode off. So, as always, this is Jeff Kitty signing off. Hope you have a good day. Bye-bye.